folks might recognize this next stand-up from the cover of Time magazine, the Oval Office, or the Zapruder film. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Garrett Bond.
You hear me? Yeah. Cool. Hey, how's it going? Yeah? Alright. Cool. It's fucking spring. That's pretty sweet, right? Can we give it up for spring? It's spring. Alright, Tom, thank you. No, it's true. Spring is awesome. I love the spring, and I love that the spring is here now because the sun is shining, the birds are chirping, it's beautiful, everyone's happy, everyone's outside. And all that seasonal sadness you had built up, right? It just sort of floats away. It just blows away in this wonderful spring breeze, never to be seen again. Doesn't that kind of like trivialize like an entire season's worth of sadness? Right? Like for me, like this past winter was like really hard for me. Like, I'm just gonna be honest. Like I went through a lot of like, went through a lot of like mental health things going on. It was a lot of tough, lots of self-doubt, lots of wondering. Like I'm a junior, I gotta look ahead to my senior year. That's a lot of stress. Like what am I doing with my life? A lot of those crises. And then the spring has the nerve to come in like a fucking condescending asshole Santa Claus. Like, oh, you thought you were sad? You were just cold, you fucking pussy. Oh, what? Your life seems worthless? Here's some flowers and some robins. Fuck off! No, I'm kidding. I do love the spring. Spring is like one of my favorite times of the year. That's true. This past spring break, actually, drove down to South Carolina with the all-time Frisbee team. 3 of them. And driving to South Carolina was awesome. It involved like a 16-hour drive, most of which was through the South, or a lot of which was through the South. And that was great for me because the South is one of my favorite parts of the country. And that's a kind of controversial thing to say, but it's absolutely true. The South is my favorite part of this country. It's so fucking beautiful. You go and it's just beautiful landscapes as far as you can see. And it's really, it's amazing. I love it. And I think that's one of the reasons, the landscape, right? The landscape of the South is the reason the South has been the same forever. Right? Like, here's a sentence that you'll never hear said outside the comedy show. Wow, when I was there, it was like I wasn't even in the South. It'll never happen, because everywhere you go in the South, it's like, oh, that makes sense. And I think, again, like I said, I think that's the landscape of the place, right? Like, the South is so big, but it's also, like, a lot of it's like very similar. Like, any word that can be used to describe the South can also be used to describe an 1800s westward expansion novel. So, for example, we'll go through 3 examples here. We got prairie. Still there. We got cactuses. Still lots of them. And we got racists. It's really weird. I always talk to people about it occasionally, and whenever I tell people that I'm depressed, they're always very surprised when they hear that in my experience, and that's always been weird for me. Like when I tell people that, they'll always be like, and they say like, that's weird, like, oh, Gary, you're depressed, like, that's so weird, you always look so, like, happy and confident all the time, and I'm like, ha, psych! Or they'll be like, this is the best one, this is my favorite, people will be like, that's weird, you don't look depressed, and that's how I know that that person has never dealt with depression in their life, because for me, when I hear, you don't look depressed, what my depressed mind says is, it's working! No, it's true. And I think one of the reasons people are really confused when I tell them that is because, like I sort of hinted at, I tend to coat my depression in layers and layers of overconfidence and like false ego that's not true at all, as demonstrated by the fact that I am currently standing on a stage telling you about this right now. But it's true, I'm actually not that strong and confident of a person at all. In fact, on the inside, I'm incredibly weak and fragile. And the reason I know this is because of the fantasies I have. Not sexual, don't worry, it's not. But for example, just when I'm like bored sometimes, right? When I'm bored sometimes in class or whatever, I'll fantasize about what would happen if like a shooter or like a burglar came in, or like something horrible happened. Like, what if something horrible happened? What would I do? And I know what you're thinking, that's not very weird. And I know that's not weird because I've talked to a lot of people who who do that too. They think about that a lot. But the reason that I know that I'm actually a pretty weak and fragile person is that in all of those fantasies, I die first. And I was in class the other week, and I was like, okay, we got a 20 by 20 classroom space, 3 access points, 1 door, 2 windows. First scenario, shooter through the door, I stand up, go to tackle him, he shoots me in the chest, I'm down. Second scenario, grenade through the window, I'm feeling brave, I throw myself on top of it. The grenade's a dud, shooter comes in through the door. Third scenario, someone in my class pulls a gun, that's what you know what happened. Then he shoots me, because he can tell that I don't feel very good about myself. I've been Garrett Bond, thank you guys so much.